Hey y'all, it's Bailey with Reclaim Grace, and I am so happy you clicked on this video. Today we are doing something a little different. We are still making over thrifted finds, but instead of reselling them, these are going to be mine. I'm making over some thrifted finds for my bedroom. We are going to have an awesome bedroom makeover, keeping the budget under $200. Y'all, I love how my bedroom ended up. It is gorgeous. It's my style and my vibes. But you can definitely tell I have never done a bedroom makeover video before or a room makeover video because I forgot to get good before footage. So I'm sorry about that. If you can imagine a bed, a dresser, and blank walls, there it is. That's the before picture. Either way, we have several projects that we're making over in today's video for my bedroom, so let's go ahead and get started. Hey friends, let's start our projects with a pretty simple one, but man did it make all the difference. Here I have a very large, very heavy beveled glass mirror. This mirror has bounced around between Mama's house, my house, and even my booth once, and it never sold, and it ended up in storage. And doing this bedroom makeover, I grabbed it out because I knew it would be the perfect addition to my bedroom. So I'm going to start off by taping up and protecting that beveled mirror. And then I'm going to come in with all-in-one paint fusion in the color coal black. And we're going to give this a nice heavy coat of black, covering up all that white paint. As I am painting this frame, I'm being sure to get all in those little nooks and crannies, swirling my brush around in a circular motion, and that just helps get into that finer details of the frame. I'm going to make sure all that white paint is fully covered. It took about 1.5 coats. And then, once it was fully dry, I'm going to take bronze it's like a metallic paint by Paint Couture, and we are going to paint right over that black. I love seeing some of the black peek through this bronze color. So I'm going to do 2 coats, but I'm letting my paintbrush kind of skip over some of the valleys of the detail in the frame just to give it a more antique feel. Do not let this first coat fool you. This paint works kind of differently than any other paint in my opinion. Once it dries, it becomes more of a solid color. So it's just very vibrant, and I just love this tone of gold. I took off the tape, and now I have drug it inside of my bedroom, and honestly, nothing has been hung on my walls in my bedroom since I've moved in. So this is our very first piece. You're going to see me struggling a little bit because when I say this mirror was heavy, I promise you it was probably 50 pounds. So I put it on my mattress, and I'm just going to kind of shimmy it over there to the dresser, and then we're going to get the mirror, the glass, cleaned up. My strength amazes me sometimes when I have my mind made up that I'm going to get something done and I don't need nobody to help me. It's so fun to watch that back. I really want to paint this dresser one day, but that's not today. What color would you paint it after you see the full bedroom reveal? I don't know. I kind of like it the way it is now, but I don't know. I kind of want to paint it. So y'all let me know your thoughts like towards the end of the video. I'm taking a scraper to get off any little paint specks that happen to get on it, cleaned it up, and now we're moving to the section beside the mirror. I picked up these really, really cool oval 3D statue artwork thingies. They are so vintage and so my style, being gold and green. And the green is like more of a velvet material. I picked up these for $5 for the set, and I thought that was a really good deal. So I'm just going to hang these up right over here next to the mirror, and I felt like it was the perfect home for these. Our next thrifted find for this bedroom makeover is this cool green little jewelry box chest with green velvet on the inside. The inside was in perfect condition. The outside was a little bit, worn, but I love that look. And it is going to work perfectly to store some of my jewelry, my rings, and some of my necklaces. During this bedroom makeover, I realized that it is okay to have and keep some of your goodies that you find along the way. I just get so focused and fixated on stocking up my booth that I don't necessarily enjoy some of the wonderful pieces that I love that I find along the way for a good deal. So I am just super proud of myself for being able to enjoy these pieces and for making my bedroom more of a home. What do y'all think about our first little section right here? I love the way this little wall area turned out. Our next makeover is another mirror, but it's going to have a completely different look. Believe it or not, I built this mirror probably about 10 years ago out of some old fence boards and one of those $5 body mirrors that you can pick up from Walmart. They're probably not $5 anymore, but you know what I mean. This was like a project that it was probably one of the first things I started doing, like whenever I got involved in woodworking. So, it's not perfect, but this project is for me and I'm just going to make it over and enjoy it. So I've given the piece a scuff sand and kind of distressed back to that raw wood under that white paint. This was painted in chalk paint a long time ago, and now I'm going to give it a good clean. Do y'all remember the desk I made over a couple weeks ago where I used this lace IOD stamp on it? Well, I just really loved how that project came out, so I kind of wanted to put the same vibes on this tall mirror. So I'm going to grab the lace stamp and I'm going to start figuring out my design and placement, and then we're going to get to stamping. I'm going to start my stamping process over here on the corner. So I have a piece of plastic here that has a straight edge on it that I'm going to use kind of as a mask to put a 45-degree, half of it's covered, half of it's not kind of situation. And now I am inking up the larger design I plan on using with my permanent IOD black ink. And then I'm going to stamp up this corner. That mask is going to work perfectly, so my lace stamp also has a 45-degree cut. I'm holding with one hand, tickling with the other. You can kind of peek underneath it to see if you're getting a good impression, and then I will lift straight up. And then I'm just going to continue with that process all along all four edges of the mirror. And when I get to the other corner, I'm just going to pick up that piece of plastic and put it on the next corner. Next, I grabbed my littler trim piece and it was not sticking to my thin mount well. So whenever that happens with your stamps, I like to take some rubbing alcohol, clean the back of the stamp, and then also clean the plastic carrier piece off well and then let them dry. And then it makes it much more stickier and it will hold on for you, because that can be very frustrating whenever you go to stamp and then the stamp falls off and the ink goes where you don't want it to go. Yeah, ask me how I know. Either way, we're inking up this smaller design and we're going to go around the inner edge this time, doing the same 45-degree angles on all four corners. I let the ink dry, and then I thought I wanted to come in with some antiquing glaze over top of the white paint and dabbing it off. but that just wasn't, I just wasn't liking it. So I wiped it off the best I could, and then I was like, I'm gonna think about that for a minute. As I was thinking about that, I grabbed some rub and buff, and I'm gonna go and just hit with my fingers around the edges and kind of make it look like a little bit of gilding, chipping, gilding in just some areas, but definitely around the edges. I hope that makes sense. I gave that gilding wax a little time to dry. It doesn't need much. And now have grabbed out the Alchemy paint line. It's like a chalk and acrylic style paint. And I am misting my area that I'm going to work in small sections at a time. And I'm going to come in with just a light layer of paint, the same method I used on the desk. And then I'm just going to blot away. If that paint is a bit too dry and you're not able to pull up enough, just lightly mist it again and it should come up. And reminder, this has not been sealed, so I need to work in small sections so I can have more control over the product. I'm going to do this all over the mirror. And that is all for this project. This mirror was leaning in up against the corner when we started off with the bedroom, so I'm going to put it back in the same spot. And I think once I add the final touches around it, it's really going to pull together. I love how this came out. I'm just such a fan of that lace stamp, the vintage feels it gives, but it's also neutral. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this project. Our next makeover is this cute little wooden swan shelf hanger situation. I picked it up for $1, and if I could turn back time, I would probably leave it just like it is, honestly. But I just felt like I needed to paint it. Y'all have to feel like that sometimes. Like you can't leave anything alone, that it has to be painted. I am the world's worst for that. This was a gorgeous color wood, but either way, we gave it a scuff sand. We wiped it down really good to get rid of any sand and dust. And then I took it outside and gave it 2 coats of this shellac base primer. I am sure you know where we're headed with this. Of course, it is milk paint. I am breaking out a new to me color, or I haven't used it very often, maybe a time. This is the color Creamy. I'm going to do 3 scoops of powder with 2 scoops of water, creating that mixture a little bit thicker than usual. Mix that together well, let those 2 ingredients get well combined and let it thicken up some. And then we're going to come in and apply 2 coats. I'm going to dry in between the first and second coat with my heat gun to really force that chipping and crackle look. That first layer of milk paint always looks a little scary, but it always surprises me when you come in with that second coat how good the coverage is. This piece just needed 2 coats for the coverage I was looking for. And y'all look at that crackle. We didn't get any chippiness, which I wish I would have used my beeswax bar on this piece, but I forgot about it and I didn't. So we're going to come in and sand and really distress heavy around the edges just to kind of frame the piece out. This piece is going on a white wall. That's kind of why I regret painting it to begin with. But I think once we add our final touches, it's going to stand out enough. Here's how we're looking after we got this piece distressed. I am going to seal up the milk paint using Fusion's Aging Wax. This is really going to deepen that creamy color, but also age it up a bit and settle into all those cracks. I'm going to brush on the wax with a chip brush, let it sit for a minute, and then I'm going to come in with a lint-free shop towel and wipe off any excess wax and buff it in. I'm going to leave it a little dark around the corners and crevices though. Now that is it for the project, so now let's get it hung in my bedroom, and I'm going to use the tape method to do that. And you're going to have to excuse this recording. My mama's helping me, and of course Roscoe is right up in the business. So I put a piece of tape on the back of the swan, and I just poked some holes through it with a pin. I'm going to come over here to the wall and just put the tape where I want to hang the swan. I have this little mini level here that I'm going to use just to ensure that the tape is level, and that's going to ensure that the swan shelf is level. I'm going to put my screws in through those holes, and then the piece should just hang up perfectly. I love how this piece came out too. The crackle is everything. I even thrifted some ceramic swans to sit on top of the shelf. I had a hat in my stash that I threw some green velvet ribbon on and hung it from one of the hangers, and I just love this piece. You cannot go wrong with this dollar wooden swan shelf. Now, let's get to the main new addition to this bedroom. When I moved into this apartment, I grabbed a cheap metal bed frame off Amazon, and well, as you can see, it is definitely time for an upgrade. I want to thank FlexiSpot for sponsoring today's video and sending over their kinda Japanese joinery bed frame with a headboard in the walnut finish. They actually offer several different options and different sizes. They have full, queen, and even king size. You can get it bed frame only with a headboard or even a pillow board option. FlexiSpot has beautiful colors to choose from, but the walnut shade really drew me in. But also the main reason why this bed frame really appealed to me was the Japanese joinery. Y'all know I love woodworking, so I can definitely appreciate the craftsmanship of traditional woodworking methods. As a single lady, the easy assembly really sold me also. There's no screws, y'all. No complicated hardware. The pieces simply lock together using solid joinery. And honestly, the only help I needed putting this together was bringing this big box inside. And luckily, Mama helped me out with that. And of course, my supervisor always sitting next to me, watching and supervising me, making sure I'm putting this thing together right. Once assembled, the frame is super stable and sturdy, which means no more squeaky metal bed frame for me. Yay! It's also made of solid wood, so it's durable and it's built to last. And I don't have to worry about Roscoe scratching it up with his nails like some of the cheaper material that furniture is built with these days. And something that is really great for apartment living is it has a 10.2 inches of underbed storage, which gives you plenty of space just for extra storage. And that is always a must when you live in an apartment like I do. The value, compared to a lot of other solid wood bed frames out there, this one is very cost effective. You're getting beautiful craftsmanship with durability, but at a price that's affordable. So it's really one of those pieces that can last a lifetime. Another bonus, FlexiSpot's shipping, it ships within 1 to 2 days and it arrives right at your door in about 3 to 5 days. If you want to check out the FlexiSpot Kana Japanese joinery bed frame, click the link below to experience it for yourself. And don't miss out, use my exclusive code for an instant discount. Transform your sleep with comfort, convenience, and some seriously beautiful craftsmanship. All right, now that the bed's in place, let's finish up the rest of these thrifted pieces and bring this bedroom makeover together. Another thrifted find that I just happened to stumble upon for $5 was this cool lamp. My bedroom needed a lamp, and I loved the style of this one that mounts on the wall. So we're going to get that up there and secure using the bracket. It came with all the pieces and parts, and that is awesome. I'm very glad it did. I'm going to mark the holes on this little plate thing, and then I'm going to add some anchors to this piece because I'm going right through sheetrock and there's no studs where I am wanting to secure this piece. So I'm going to tap those anchors into place and a few different holes. I didn't do all four. I think I did 3. And then we will get the plate on and then put the screws through the plate into the anchors. Then the base of the lamp just slides right on that plate, and it comes with a little set screw that you screw on the top, in through the top, into the plate, and it just keeps everything held onto the wall. I added the harp, the light bulb, the lampshade, tested it out for the first time, and it works. I positioned the arm so it hung over the bed, and now let's move on to our next makeover, which is another easy one. I picked up this wicker storage chest for $5, y'all. The lady was just giving her stuff away, and I knew this would come in real good handy. Really needed this for my bedroom because I have so much workshop clothes. So I figured I could store that in this. It had a little bit of damage around the legs and a few pieces that just needed to be glued back in place. So that's what we're going to do first. I'm just going to use some hot glue and a clamp to hold it there, and I'm going to drive a nail into that area just to secure it further. I'm going to pre-drill that area first and then hammer a little tack nail in there, and it's going to hold it perfectly. I did glue some of the other areas too. So now let's make a wash. I'm going to use quite a bit of water and then mix it with some chocolate paint by Dixie Belle. Mix that together well, and this is going to become our stain. I really wanted to darken this piece so it matched better with my new bed frame, and y'all, the color match was perfect. I decided not to wipe this wash back. I'm just brushing it on using a pointed tip paintbrush to really get into all those nooks and crannies. And then I just let it dry. I did this to the whole chest, and I came back in and touched up some areas. So I would say I did about 1.5 coats. You really need to make sure you're going in all directions, really working that wash into all the little pieces so it doesn't look patchy when it's finished. And that is all for this project. I had it in a couple different areas, but I think I like it in front of my bed the most. Y'all let me know over here on the side of the room or in front of the bed. It works perfectly to store my shop clothes. I am super excited that I found this piece for $5. It is the perfect upgrade to my bedroom makeover. If I could change one thing about this bedroom, it was, of course, get rid of the red carpet, but that's not in my budget, so I'm going to work around it. And I even found a rug that kind of tied the whole bedroom makeover together. I'll show that in a later section of the video. So on to our last set of projects. I picked up these printables on Amazon. They were like $5, and it came with 10 landscape vintage style prints, and they're just moody and landscape vintage feels that I feel like would be perfect for a gallery wall in my bedroom. So I have some frames in my stash that I've just kind of been collecting to do a gallery wall. I have this chunky gold frame I paid 99 cents for, and these wooden ones, different shades of brown wooden frames. I paid 99 cents a piece for these also. If I can give any inspiration from this video, is it does not have to be hard, it does not have to be complicated, difficult, and take a lot of time and effort to make some major upgrades and aesthetically pleasing upgrades to your bedroom. And I think that's why it took me so long to take the time to make my bedroom more homey and more my style, because I thought it would take so long. But honestly, adding these 99-cent frames with these vintage Moody style prints to add a gallery wall was super easy, and it made such a difference. On one of the frames, I decided to go a little bit more in depth by adding some clay beaded trimming around the edges, using the classic Element IOD mold with some IOD air dry clay, and then I just used some super glue to glue it to the wooden frame. Once I got my clay beaded trim glued down, I came in with some black paint and then some gold paint, doing a light dry brush, or more of a heavy dry brush, over the beaded details to show some of that black. And we'll jump back to that frame in a minute. For the awesome little mini chunky gold frame, I cut a piece of scrap plywood to fit on the inside, and I'm going to pour some Fabri-Cast resin 50-50 mixture of A and B into the Victoriana mold. Within 10 minutes, they are ready to pop out, and I decided to go with this one right here. So I just took that same super glue, and I'm going to add it to the center of my plywood backing, and then hit it with that accelerating spray so I can move on and give it a coat, a nice size coat of white paint. Once that paint was dry, I came in with Fusion's Antiquing Glaze and went all over what we just painted with just a light layer of glaze. I blotted off the excess. I let that dry for about 30 minutes before coming in with some gold rub and buff and just very carefully going around that outer trim of our casting resin, just to kind of frame the mold out a bit. I glued that backer into place, and then I decided to add a brown velvet bow on the top just to bring a little bit more vintage feels to this piece. And our last frame, I love the color of this stained wood, so I'm just going to clean it up a bit and add this moody floral image to it. And y'all, that is all. Here is a quick shot of how they all turned out, but putting them all together is really what made the difference. I just played around with the position on my bed and just hung them up with little tack nails. I found this little hanging basket for $2, and I felt like hanging this in the corner of my bedroom really tied this corner and this gallery wall together. Y'all let me know what you think, how this turned out. This was my first gallery wall. I thrifted these curtains right here for $2. They were brand new, and I really feel like it ties it all together. I added some more of that brown velvet ribbon and a touch of green velvet ribbon to kind of tie the curtains back. But y'all, I suck at doing room makeovers apparently, because I didn't even grab any footage of how my bedroom started off. But just picture a bed, a dresser, and empty walls. And it is a much better upgrade now. I feel like I'm going to continue to add to it as I find pieces, but I am just so excited with how this bedroom makeover turned out. And here is our total cost breakdown for this makeover, around $120. You cannot beat that with a stick. I want to thank FlexiSpot again for sponsoring today's video and sending over their Japanese joinery bed frame. That is truly what inspired this bedroom makeover. Y'all let me know your thoughts, and thank you for spending your time with me today. I'll talk to y'all in the comments. Bye.